What paved the way for us that I truly consider award winner is right here. And this day, to let you know, is an event about sickle cell awareness. And it's so important that we know that your body is a temple, and it's so important that we know how to keep your life going. And if you know anyone who is not at the event today, could you please pass the information on to them, because this thing is something that you could have it from birth. And also, water is something very important to have in your body. Right? This is going to be a homework for you. You're going to find out how many percentage of water is in your body. Right? And before birth, we are always protected in the womb by water. Right? And if you have sickle cell or anything, you can't at no time be without water. Okay? Right, at this moment, I'm going to let you know what's going to happen right here. First of all, we're going to have poetry by someone who suffered from it we're going to play it, right? So, my name is Uncle Sid, so just introduce yourself to someone next to you and greet them, and then turn off your phone, please, okay? Go ahead. Could you get ready for the spoken word right now? So, right now, in the screen now, we're going to put up the spoken word by someone who are going through a difficult time. Spoken word for you. There we go now, please.
The poem that I wrote, I recently wrote this summer for a pageant that I participated in, and I'm going to share it with you today. Hi. So you want to know about me? Sit down. I'll tell you. I'll tell you what it's like to be pumped with powerful narcotics, hooked up to oxygen tanks 4 times a year by the age of 8. I will tell you what it's like to have spent summers, spring breaks, Halloweens, and birthdays bed-stricken, accompanied by books for friends. I will tell you how the television became my BFF because it was the only consistency I knew. I will tell you how I spent the first 20 years of my short life tattooing lists of can'ts, should nots, and why me's to my being, and wondered why I felt numb, how I wanted to feel everything, anything with this pain, estimated to be 3 times worse than childbirth. I was a child. I expected to be near death by 20, embraced it by 15, bound to a self-defeating prophecy, denying myself of possibilities, opportunities passed me by because I didn't think I was strong enough to fight this demon. The demons of the world and the inconsistencies of the world didn't think I could compete. I was a child with a tendency to overthink. See, God and I, we argued for years. When he said try, I said why. When he said now, I said how. I beat my potential into submission while this condition began to affect my academics. My self-esteem was screaming from my core because nothing was ever good enough. I felt stuck. And if I ever tried to move forward, the disease would always pull me back. By 19, I was broken. Overcome with disappointment, sickness running rampant with no resistance from me, I could have laid down and died had my pride not kicked in, but I got up. Replaying my life and told sickle cell to sit down. By 20, I was breaking out of the social molds I thought I was meant to fill. See, all this time, I thought I was being blocked from the life I was supposed to live, but it's not the life you get, it's what you make of it. And I was never meant to be like them, and trying to be them was the worst decision I ever made, because I was too strong for their burdens, too loud over their voices. So I turned myself down, ignored my strengths, focused on my weaknesses, and became just like them. So no, sickle cell was not my only hindrance. It took me 20 years to see that I had been blessed with burdens that had made me stronger than I could conceive. I was never afraid of death. But I'm not ready to meet him yet, and I don't have time to die. I have a lot to say, an infinite bucket list, an empty passport, and a hunger that woe is me can't satisfy. Life is not a closet to hang your regrets soaked in past years' tears. Let them air dry. Let the east wind carry your fears and the west carry your feet, because they should never be traveling in the same direction. And if my affliction has done nothing else, it has made me stop whining. It has forced me to proclaim my destiny instead of waiting for it to hit me. And I'm not perfect, but I swear that my imperfections are perfectly there. They forced me to proclaim my humanity. So when I wake up every day, I live life in its entirety.
Okay, thank you. We're going to bring right now on stage the organizer, right, Claudette, please.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming down today. It's lovely to have you there. I know it's taken an afternoon out of maybe some Christmas shopping, but it's always well worth coming down to recording a course like this. It's really important to have you all here listening to the subject that we're going to cover today, which is sickle cell. The reason that I have set this organisation up, World Sickle Cell Awareness, is literally because I felt there wasn't enough support out there, particularly in the UK. And I really wanted to put something in place that allowed people to feel like that there was some support and to use the support systems that currently exist and build a network out of those. So working with existing community support groups, working with existing charities and building a new network as well where those gaps might exist. Which is why you've been invited down today. It's really about hearing from you what you think needs to be done, hearing from you where you think the gaps exist just in terms of, whether or not you've got a local support group. Do you have one? If you have one, please let us know so that we can let other people know and they can find out and come down and enjoy and utilise it as well. So, in a while, we're about to invite a panel to join us to speak. And what I'd like to walk away with today is some information from you about what the priorities should be for World Sickle Cell Awareness for the year ahead. It's really important for me, rather than putting words into your mouth, for you to tell me what it is that you need from our organisation, what you need us to champion on your behalf, and what you need us to champion on behalf of your children. And then we'll go away and do it. If it's your priority, it's our priority, but we need to know what it is from your perspective, rather than telling you. So I'm going to hand back to Untitled, who will then introduce Alison and the panel, and hopefully we'll hear from you as well what it is that you need. Thank you very much for coming down.
Okay, thank you very much. Please take note of what you said and pass on the information. Now I'm going to invite Alison Kemp to introduce the panel. Welcome, put your hand together for Alison, please.
So, I'm going to firstly invite Dr. Andrea Leigh up over here. Andrea she's a consultant paediatrician in sickle cell disorder. And basically, if you've got any questions at all on the actual condition and the treatment, then Andrea, she can at least look like she can deal with the argument. So this is Dr. Andrea Leigh. Another person I'd like to invite up here is Connie Harewood. So Connie, thank you very much. Now, Connie is a clinical nurse specialist in sickle cell, and really what she does is she's a key liaison between all the services, the really important services like the educators and the medical profession, and she acts as the liaison between all of those different very important bodies that will affect everybody's lives from childhood right up to adulthood. So we're going to find a lot more about what Connie does and how she can help you as well. And next we have a smoothie queen, I should say, which is Sonia Morris. So Sonia, welcome. Now I wasn't making a remark about Sonia's obviously very smooth character, but it was actually that she is a nutritionist and she can give a lot of guidance as to how nutrition can really help people to cope with the symptoms of sickle cell. So, it's really what, Uncle Sid said this earlier, it's really about what you put into your body. We're talking about water, but there's a lot of really great things that we can feed ourselves with, and you can feed yourselves with to actually just be generally healthier and to cope with the symptoms of sickle cell. And we also have now Basil, who I'd like to welcome up. Basil. And he could tell me basically about how it's been for him to go right from childhood to adulthood, experiencing sickle cell. So you get to hear this from all different perspectives. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to put questions to the panel so you can actually understand where they're coming from and get a bird's eye view about how they can help you. And then I'm going to open this out, so we're going to have Simone will be whizzing around with microphones. So if you've got cares, concerns, questions, we really want to hear this, because as Claudette says, we want to be able to do something with it afterwards rather than it be words to the air. So, just to start off, Andrea, if I can just ask you, there are different common types of sickle cell disorder. So can you just talk a little bit about that?
So you might wonder how can different sort of forms of sickle cell arise. The basics of sickle cell disease are that it's an inherited condition, and that means that it passes down from parents to their children in the genes. And all of us are red blood cells, and how they're put together and formed are controlled by two copies of a gene, one that you inherit from your father and one that you inherit from your mother. And those genes go together to determine the proteins that are the building blocks of the hemoglobin, which is the oxygen carrying structure in the red blood cells. So you can inherit various forms of that gene from your parents, and depending on the different forms that you inherit, you can get a variety of conditions. So you might hear us talking about sickle cell anemia, which is typically where people have inherited two copies of the sickle cell gene. Okay, and we call each copy HBS. So you might, if you have children with sickle cell disease, you may see letters or read about hemoglobin SS, and that's the description of the genes that are inherited. And that is the commonest form of sickle cell disease that we see. Okay, but there are other varieties, and that depends on the genes that you inherit from your parents. And common varieties of sickle cell disease include sickle cell S and C, where you can inherit a copy of an S from one parent and C from another. And if anybody has children with sickle cell SC or carriers, then I'm happy to come and find it. If there are children here who don't quite understand what it means to them, then of course come and find me and go into that in more detail. There are other varieties of sickle cell disease, but again, they get quite complicated, and I'm happy to talk to those, about those more specifically.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Andrea, can I just ask you a quick question? How does one know if one is a sickle cell carrier?
So actually, Connie might be a good person to talk about screening and drop-off.
Okay, right. We just come back to that question in a minute. I'll just park it for now. But Connie, while you've got the microphone, what is the role of the clinical
varying the role of the clinical health specialist in different conditions. But my particular role is quite the diverse role, in that I'm involved with families preconceptually. So the first part of my role is to facilitate the screening service. Now, we follow a national screening program through the Star Health, as now the whole of England follows. And that means that all pregnant women are offered screening when they look for the pregnancy. And my role is to look at those blood results, find out who are carriers and who's women and why they can't be tested. The aim is that we do this as early as possible. So hopefully women will look very early so that they can take the screening opportunity. The other part of the screening program that we have in this file is that all babies born in this file are screened for their disease or carrier or any other of the family disease. So if you've had children born since 2004, your child has been screened for that, for their hemoglobin So hopefully this generation growing up now should all know whether their parents or not. So that's one part of my role. Then my role extends to working with families whereby we find out that their children are affected. And many of you are glad to see our here today. And really working with you, providing you with the clinical support. So educating parents, the children about their condition, letting them share how best they live with their condition. And, a big part of that condition is managing their pain relief. And more and more, the aim is that we support people living with this condition, caring for those with this condition in the home. So a lot of it is around pain management. Now, as we work up towards teenagers, that is a big area now of concern for us, because teenagers will now move out of their familiar area with their pediatrician in their monthly first and move into an adult area of care. And that can happen as early as 14. Now, really, we ask their children to do things, but from a health point of view, they move into an adult service, which is quite daunting, and maybe we might want to discuss that today. And then it goes on to providing a very community-focused adult service. And this is what we aim to really evolve the services so that it meets with all client needs today. These individuals have spent a lot of time in hospital, and now what we want to do is have a very community-centred focused care for sickle cell disorders. And this will be quite new and will be relatively new to this generation. So it's working with you guys, with parents, those of you who are affected, those of you who have children, to really mould a service that fits with looking after you guys in the community. So that's in a nutshell.
Great, thank you. So there's a lot there about pain relief, care, and the diagnosis of sickle cell. Great, thank you. So, Sonia, can you just tell us why nutrition is so important for sickle cell and the impact of the symptoms?
Nutrition is important to everyone, but even more so for sickle cell sufferers. 2 to 3 times the amount of our nutrients, micronutrients are needed to sustain a sickle cell sufferer. Children with sickle cell disease require more micronutrients and calories to sustain them. Because while they're resting, the sickle cell disease is taking them to use up. So they tend to be smaller and less mature. They reach maturity late.
So, Sonia, can you explain what a micronutrient is?
Micronutrients is unique and mineral.
Okay, so could they also be available in supplements? So if you have to be aware of what kind of supplements you need to take to compensate.
Definitely. They are available in supplements, but the best form of micronutrients is from food. So if they can have a really good balanced diet, plenty of fruit and veg, they're essential micronutrients, but they are available in supplements. But when taking supplements, always consult with something to make sure.
Well, I'll just add also that there's a World Health Organization recommendation that all children up to the age of 5 should receive multivitamins. So that's something that doesn't really get through to people very, very often, that message. And so, again, that's even more important in children with sickle cell disease. And those could be anything you buy over the counter from Chewy, Sweetie David, multivitamins, to the drops that you can buy in the Sainsbury's and Boots supplements.
It's also add that when you're buying these multivitamins, the one thing that these individuals don't use is extra iron. So make sure that the multivitamins do not contain any concentrations of iron.
Okay, so by the way, you will have noticed that we've got some lovely juicing going on over there, and afterwards we urge Now, going on to Basil. Basil, what was life like for you growing up with sickle cell?
It was hard. I missed a lot of school. I was born in 1958. I'll go back that far. 1959, they told my parents that I only lived till 10. And I could always remember being out of hospital and even convalescing when I was in my teens in a hospital called Banstead in Surrey. And my mum used to come and see me only on Sunday because they used to have a coach who would pick up parents and take them down to Banstead. And I've done a lot of my schooling there. So it was hard, but I got by probably being a bit confident. And I let everybody know that when I was 16, I started work. And I've never been out of work since I was 16. Now, I have the problems with most sickles, so sufferers in and out of hospital. And in 1974, when I started work, I said to my employers, I've got sickle cell. What's that? And she said, oh, just say I've got a blood disorder. Anyway, I stayed there for about 3 years, and then I moved on. And my last employer was in Canary Wharf, and I worked for them for 23 years. And still in and out of hospital, you know, transfusions. And I had a lot of other problems with my sickle cell. Like when I was 24, I had a bleed to my right eye and had a lot of laser. And then, you know, supported by my work colleagues. And 12 years ago, I had another bleed to my left eye. And after my operation, work said to me, we don't want to lose you. So my BCM went to the hospital, saw my consultant, and said that he's a part of the company. And it's a big company I work for, which is Morgan Stanley. But my company was Williams Leigh, but did all the IT and presentations for that company. But I started at Morgan Stanley when it was in the West End, and I moved to Canary Wharf.
So Basil, it's great because the awareness of your employers has changed magnificently over the years. Do you find that the symptoms, there are different symptoms which belong to different age groups in your experience?
It's weird because when I was younger and I was reading sickle cell books and they said it would affect the eyes, I thought you were probably born with it, but I had bleeds when I was 24 and later. But I know it's very common to have ulcers, which I haven't had. And I discovered about 10 years ago when you're sickler and you get to, if you manage to reach 40, you would have like heart defects, which I got told, which is just an enlarged heart, because it does a lot of work for your suffering. And I'll let you all know that I had a few pains this year, and I just came back from a coronary diagnostic anagram operation, but everything seems to be okay.
Right, thank you. Are there any questions yet from anyone in the audience? Anybody got a question or a query that they want to put up? Great, so we've got a microphone. There should be a spare microphone. If not, we will... Okay, fine, if you stand up.
Great, yeah, hi. What lady I was previously got some sort of that syndrome, and it's a big shock. It's like a sickle cell test you get to your arm and brain, and most of the time doing that. The big shock for sure. It's like when you get that, it's take myself basically. What I don't like about the system at the moment is even honestly, you need to have much to stuff like that. They're poor.
to the hospital, and also the time that she's having her injection. So I suggest that there's a record book maybe for people with sickle cell to have a record of say they've attended, have their flu jab, the next session they need to attend, if they've attended hospital. Maybe like the red books that the children have, that maybe as I say, in their teenagers that can get really chaotic, at least the record of some sort. Now, even 8 years old, I still carry the red book and I can keep it in a note. Because you lose track of the injections that she's had and what she's been given, and that scares me a little bit because all these things that land to my child, you lose track of it basically.
Just to clarify, so you're saying that after 5 there's no record?
There's no record. Well, maybe there's hospital records, but as a parent, I want to see what my child has been given. Every year she has a flu jab.
You have no
I've no record. They just send me that she comes for a flu jab. But you know, as time goes on, busy parents, we need to know that this day, she's had this time. Sometimes you go to the doctor and say, what has she had? And we should know that.
But thank you very much. That's a really fantastic point. And I would just like to say before I respond to that, so I run with Connie the children's sickle cell and thalassemia clinic at Whips Cross Hospital. Particular areas of interest, as Connie's alluded to, are transition of care through pre-adolescence, through adolescence and into adulthood, and also the move towards care closer to home, which is big on the agenda for the NHS, and it's something that we're very interested in. But I firmly believe that we, as Claudette said, and as Claudette feels, that we should be doing what you want, and we should be looking at a service that is responsive to your needs and your desires for how we care for you and your children. So, on the table at the back, there are two things. One, a questionnaire that we'll probably talk about later. Secondly, I've just put some small pieces of paper and a few pens, and a sort of a cardboard envelope for any suggestions. So if you have suggestions for things you'd like to see, like that idea, is absolutely fantastic. Please do just take a few minutes to think. People often move between different areas. If you've seen things done well elsewhere, bring it to us and tell us about it. If you are happy for us to contact you afterwards, if you leave your child's name, so I can check the records at work, and a phone number, then we can follow up. In response to your point, I think that's an absolutely fantastic idea. We do it for children that are on treatment for cancer, and it's absolutely integral to being able to follow their care and for the safety. And so that's a really great idea and certainly something that we're thinking about.
I think you've raised an important point, and I think it's a point that we should probably try and take forward nationally. I was at a conference not that long ago where a doctor from the USA presented us with a kind of like file effect folder that are given to all parents with children's sickle cell disease from birth, and it was very impressive. And in that folder it was set out such that it reminds you what the child needs, allows you to enter any medications and clinic or anywhere that you've attended, even hospital attendances. Because, like the Red Book, it's used as a communication tool between the services and the patient and parent. We have that for our maternity notes, so it is something that is missing, I think, out of the healthcare for sickle cell, that we haven't got a portfolio that is carried by clients. So one moment, Connie, you're saying this isn't uniform, so some people nationally, you can themselves and apply for portfolio documents. We give to people, and you know that they're a portfolio, so why are we just relying on the standard Red Book? This is something I think that should be taken up with the national programme. They have produced a lot of wonderful documents out of that national sickle cell screening programme, and the next stage is I'd like to see the design of portfolio.
For cancer children, we call it the patient health record or the shared care record. And I think that's a fantastic model too, and helps transition and information that flows between if you move or if you transition into other.
So currently what's happening then if, right, you've got a 7-year-old child, you don't have a red book, what does a parent do if they want a red book? What can they do?
What we do is send you with all the letters. When you come to the clinic, you should have a copy of that letter. When you're discharged from hospital, you should have a copy of that discharge notice. When you go and see your GP for inoculations, we should enter into your red book. What some parents have done is actually continuing the red book. Yeah, just put loose leaf pages into it, and it just demonstrates the need to just have a standard portfolio that takes you through life.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I recently had my pneumovax, and we have to have jabs every 3 years, and I entered it in my phone, but I've had a couple of crises this year, and they've asked me in the hospital, when have you had your pneumovax and blah blah blah, and I've had to show them my phone. So from the nurse at my GP, it hasn't got onto my records, so I think that's a real great idea.
Great, thank you for that question. Okay, there are other questions here. I saw other hands go up. Yes, this lady over here.
Two things. One of the points Connie made about when a child gets to a point and ends up in hospital in the adult ward. My husband went to visit someone, a young child who was in an adult ward, and it was just a distressing situation because an elderly man died near him. And that's terrifying me because somebody's 13 now. What's going to happen when he's in the adult ward? But also when he was in the child's ward, I'd be there, I'd sleep next to him, I'd watch him, I'd feed him, and nurses haven't got the time to do that. So what happens when he's in the adult ward and I can't be by him? And also, I would watch the statistics and see what's going on and then tell the nurse this, the doctor that. I won't be there to see it because I'm not allowed to. That's terrifying me. That's one of the first things. The second thing is, he might need an operation. Can sicklers have operations? And I'm really worried about that. So what's the situation with anaesthesia and having an operation when you've got sickle cell?
Great, there's two good questions. So the first one, Connie, if I can just direct the first question to you, is about the care, the hospital care.
Okay, so should I explain what currently is the process for transition into adult care, and then Connie can talk a bit more about the adult side of the service? Is that okay? So I'm a firm believer that transition into adulthood is something that starts at a young age, and I'm talking about pre-adolescence, from about the age of 10 or 11, and children start becoming young people and having thoughts for themselves, and the need really to understand what's happening to their body, because as you know, as they become teenagers and are able to assert some control over both their disease, their medications, and how they manage their crises, it's really important that they are empowered and understand what's happening to them. So for me, the process of transitioning to adult services is not something that should be, you're approaching 16, there you go, off you go to see the adults. So Connie and I are working closely together to really start preparing young people for transitioning to adult service. And the way that works across hospital at the moment is that from about the age of 14, we start talking about transition and explaining to the young person what that means. We are lucky enough to have a joint clinic with myself and Connie and Dr. Ukram Hussain, who's the adult hematologist who looks after adults with sickle cell and thalassemia disorders at Brooks Cross and the Royal London Hospital. We do a joint clinic, and we aim to see children, young people, in that clinic 2 or 3 times between the age of 14 and 16. Now, depending on the healthcare needs that your child or your child with sickle cell has, you may be coming up to see Connie and I much more regularly than that, but you may not be. So that the focus of those attendances really is about preparing emotionally, and I have to say that I think adolescents prepare for transition much better than parents. And as a parent, I can appreciate that is scary. You're very attached to paediatric teams, and you have deep relationships with people actually that have looked after your children and cared for them since they were born. And we understand that. But actually the young people themselves are often very accepting of this, and I do think it's really important that they learn and that they are able to have a voice and start to take control over their bodies at that stage. So that's what tends to happen, and so by the age of 16, when we are no longer able to admit people to the paediatric ward, there has been several years of process and understanding and working towards something so that it doesn't feel terrifying. And what I would like, I'll just hand over to Connie now. Do you want to talk about your experience of can I just say one thing quickly? It was so lovely to hear your story, and I think that it must have been really difficult when people didn't have a clue what sickle cell disease was, but just so that people are aware now, sickle cell disease is the commonest inherited condition in the UK. Okay? So it is the commonest condition, genetic condition in the UK now. So everybody should be, at least up to speed and seen children and families.
Thank you. I'm pleased I'm here, really, because things have changed. I mean, I was 16, 1974, and we never had no transition period or anything like that from 14. I just went straight to an adult ward, and you just had to grow. And people died, and you were 16 and you see people in there at 70, and it was just really, really strange. But I got used to it, unfortunately, or should I say fortunately. But I wish I could have a period where I could have sort of seen a bit more and grown up. I mean, no, 2 years to go, I'll be with the big people. But no, I just went straight there.
Well, can I just say something as well? I just want to let you guys know as well that on the information table there's also a programme that's been run out to West London where the doctors and they are trying to co-create with teenagers as well. And encourage teenagers to come forward and actually say what it is that they would like to happen in terms of that transitional period. So there's a leaflet on that table that basically encourages someone to get in contact with them. I think they've got about 8 pages left. And they want teenagers to get in contact with them and share their opinions about what they need in the service moving into teen and adult care. Those teenagers will actually pay £20 to give their opinions as well. So that's something that maybe is even part of information on leaders. That might be of interest as well. There is an incentive there. But also, as well, if they're in mobility positions, they're actually willing to pay the taxi to get there as well, because your opinion is really, really important. The opinion of that teenager is really, really important to them. And to parents that spoke earlier as well, but encouraging parents to come down to you. You won't get 20 quid, but they do want to come along as well, because they do want to hear everyone's opinion. So once again, that's on the information table. Please grab that and let them know so that those places can be filled and somebody can certainly there now hear that it's from this programme that we're talking about there.
Great, thank you for that. Just to, before we come to you, Connie, I just want to ask specifically at Wickes Cross, is it in terms of information that you're giving to these 14 to 16-year-olds where you say, this is what you can expect over a certain period?
So partly yes, and partly that I like to start to see adolescents on their own for the first few minutes of the consultation, and that might literally be coming into the room, hi, how are you, what medicines are you taking? Simple things that we would hope that adolescents would know about their sickle cell disease, and then parents to come in and join. And that's a model that I feel works very well for empowering young people.
And so it's like a gradual independence and autonomy that you have to make.
What's going to change with teenagers, for children moving into adulthood is that as paediatric, they're seen at the hospital, but as teenagers and adults, they'll be seen in the community. So we run a teenage and adult community in the community. And it's mostly run by myself, my colleague Marcy, who's away today, and Dr. Upal Hussain, and the GP with special interest. And the difference again there is that we see them more often. And there's a lot of flexibility in terms of when we can see them and when we can contact them. So the parents ring up, we can see them straight away. But the idea really is to increase the frequency of contact we have with them through this transitional period. What we're hoping to do is to have the teenagers have their own little focus groups where they can talk to us directly, and hopefully, I'm hoping that it will evolve to getting commissioners, etc., the people who supposed to hold the person directly hearing what it is teenagers want out of their adult services.
Okay, thank you, Connie. So it's about getting their opinions and having more contact with them by themselves. I mean, like I said,
This is a new generation in this country we've got Basil's experiences of what happened to him as a teenager. And as Basil said, he would have loved more time where he could just be a child. Well, our teenagers at 14 and 15 are still children, and the aim is to give them that more time. Unfortunately, the hospital has a different direction in that they're limited to what bed space they can give. I mean, we'd all like a teenage ward or teenage beds on our paediatric wards, and I'm sincerely hoping out of the discussion they had at Imperial that does come up as a big topic to tell our local governments that we want more beds for teenagers in our hospitals.
Probably don't always want to be next to a 2-year-old with a cough and cold when you're 50. Right place, right time.
Sonia, can I just ask you a question now? Is what access do teenagers have on their nutrition, their knowledge about their nutrition?
I'm not aware they do that.
Oh, right, yeah.
Nothing that I'm up to there.
Yeah.
Should we have a show of hands for who in the audience knew that children and adults with sickle cell burn more energy and need more calories and nutrients? Show of hands, who knew that? So I would say less than a quarter?
Yes.
Good afternoon. Yeah, Mr. Faird, I'm the father of Shane Faird. I attend the school. The thing is that whenever you get a crisis, I would take into the hospital. The doctors tend to keep telling us that, he can live to this time or he's going to die at that time. But no, I know he's fully grown and the sickle cell and all that. And when that happens, Shane's mom always got tears of that, and she's always trying to do everything for Shane in one heap, saying that maybe sometimes on the road she might lose him, but then again he can grow to be a really big man. I think the doctor should take that strain off us because it's devastating.
Okay, can I just add to some of the things what is open? The data bank for the sickle cell is in King's College. What is your take on that? For people to get information, and the data bank is in King's College Hospital for sickle cell. That's the so for what is your update on that?
Can we just come back to that in a minute? I think Andrew, do you want to respond to the questions at all?
But there was a point about operations, which I think is a very important point that I think we should go on to, if that's okay. But also, I'm very sorry to hear that you've had disappointing experiences with Shane, and that it's really important for us to know if you are not receiving the empathy that you feel you need to be able to look after your children appropriately. And please do use the feedback, just the forms, jot things down, and I really want to hear everything, good, the bad, the ugly. It's always useful if you have any ideas, so please put them forward, but thank you for feeding that back, and please do receive a note of that. And just So going back to the operations. So your question was, is it safe to have an operation if you've got sickle cell disease? Okay. So we know that some of the triggers for having sickle cell crises include becoming cold, having low oxygen levels, and that's why maybe you might see if you have children that have a cough and cold and they get a bad chest, they then develop sickle painful crises and things. And we know that if your oxygen levels drop, that can trigger sickle crises. And when you have an operation and you have an anaesthetic, you are often have a machine breathing for you, and that can cause some collapse of the lungs and things, which is not in itself usually problematic. But what we do know is that the children with sickle cell disease, that can cause troubles. Okay, so to have anaesthetics and operations can cause troubles for children with sickle cell disease, and they did a fairly big study recently to look at whether it was safe to not give a blood transfusion to children with sickle cell disease before an operation, and they gave lots of children operations without blood transfusion top up before and lots with, and they found out pretty quickly that actually you do need to have a blood transfusion if you're going to have an anaesthetic for an operation of any significant period of time. And by that we mean, it may be that your doctors may feel that you don't need to have a blood transfusion before an operation if you are going to have an extremely quick procedure, like you have some gas to make you sleep and someone looks up the nose to see if they're having nosebleeds and need anything doing, or look in the throat, or something very, very quick. But for the most part, operations are safe in children with sickle cell disease, but we would usually recommend a blood transfusion beforehand. And if it's a very big or serious operation, we might recommend an exchange blood transfusion where we take out some blood and give back normal red blood cells to really reduce the amount of sickle cell in the blood. Does that answer your question? Yeah.
Okay, it's good to know that you can have operations, transfusion seems to be the key.
And the key to that really is to speak to your surgeon and make sure that if you that they are aware of the sickle cell status, and that your general paediatrician, who most of you would be me, are made aware of the fact that somebody wants to do an operation on your child.
Right. Yes.
Hi. When I had my first bleed to my left eye, I was having a lot of exchange transfusions. But last week I was at the doctor and he asked me how many transfusions you think you had. And I said probably about 100, 200. I said I can remember having transfusions when I was 5, when it was the glass bottles. And he started laughing. But 12 years ago when I had that other bleed in my left eye, I had exchange transfusions and the transfusion before my operation. And my operation came out successful, and that's why I do a lot of work for Moorfields Eye Hospital. So I'm fine. I've had an operation, a major operation as well. So I think it's needed if you've got sickle cell.
Great. Now, thanks, Basil. You've come through it, not once, not twice, but multiple times. Sonia, what foods should you avoid? Because Andrea mentioned triggers. What foods could trigger off the symptoms?
In my research, I found that you should avoid iron-rich foods, being transfusion time, or iron supplements.
So iron-rich food, for example, it would be liver,
lineage, that's something I found that you should avoid. But also, with my normal work, things like your tolerances that you try to tolerate it. Or any allergies, nuts. I'm sure children who love sickle cell know about nut allergies, common allergies,
the iron-rich foods.
Yes.
Okay. Right. That's only for children in
Transfusion.
only when on a transfusion program. Right. Yes. Okay. So this gentleman at the back with the red cap on.
Hello everybody. I'm David. Hi guys. And I just like to see everyone who has sickle cell. If you got sickle cell, you just put that up so I can just see everyone that I'm relating with. Alright. Now I'm gonna ask another question. Have you guys ever been into a hospital, into an A&E that you don't normally go to because obviously you're out of the area? You've been to an A&E and they have called you a certain name. I think you might know that name. They have called you a certain name. It's happened to me once, and I felt such a way about it. Me with my bad leg, I lived at that hospital. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take myself home, and if anything happens, I'm gonna blame that hospital because what they did, they refused to treat me because they thought I weren't having a crisis. Has anyone gone through that, or is it just me? Has anyone gone through that?
So I have heard that before because a lot of people still don't know about sickle cell, and obviously I think they think that you want drugs. That's what you're probably getting at. But there's still a lot of hospitals that don't understand sickle cell, and I actually worked with a black gentleman about 5 years ago, and I didn't mean to say black, but obviously sickle cell is in the black community, and I said to him, I'm not going to be in tomorrow because I've got to go to hospital, I've got sickle cell, and he didn't even know, and this guy was about 35, so it's just still a lot to learn.
It really bothers me. I really hated. I seriously hated the fact that because they've had certain experiences with another individual, I don't know who, whatever. You shouldn't label. You shouldn't do that whatsoever. I don't care what. I don't care how many sick patients you see every single day, every week. I don't care. You shouldn't label. And it happened.
Really negative experience.
Yeah.
It was prejudicial.
Yeah.
Completely prejudicial. Where they were presumptuous.
Yeah.
Can I just ask something then? So we have new doctors coming through every 6 months, sometimes more often. So if you were to speak to those doctors, what would you want to say? What would you want them to hear?
What you mean? What I would advise them?
What would you say to them about your experiences that could change or impact on the way they view or treat people with sickle cell disease?
I think the way they treat sickle cell now is good. I personally, I don't see any, when I'm in Royal London, I normally go to Royal London, they treat you very good. They normally put us in our own rooms because obviously when we come to crisis, we're screaming all over. Well, I can't control it. I'm weak. I can't control it. So they put us in our own rooms and all that. But what I will tell them, especially when the transition period, when you move from the children's ward to the adults ward, because as you said, I saw people die and I was scared. What they should do, have a teenager's ward. I think they really should.
Please put this down on paper for me, because the only way that we can go to commissioners who hold the purse strings, your voices are heard louder than ours. Yeah. And you may not feel that, but that is the truth. So please put down your ideas, please put down your feelings about what you think would serve you best. And if you're prepared to be contacted, if you're prepared to come up to teach the new doctors about what it's like to have sickle cell disease, please put your name and phone number with a note saying that you'll be prepared for us to contact you. And
sadly, I still think for many, too many, it's still going on today. But what we are in a new era of healthcare, and healthcare has become much more community-based, and it's given you the biggest voice that you've ever had. And I'm sure you've all heard of the care quality framework, where hospitals can have spot checks at any time. These spot checks that you're hearing about is because people have complained. People have gone to PALS or they've written strong letters to the chief executive of the hospital, and this information now has to be taken up by the hospitals, and the hospital have to share these incidences with the care and quality framework. So if you're having incidences in the hospital, bring them to me. I have no hesitation in taking these forward, especially under this new way of working. Don't sit on it, don't hide it. Stand up, be counted, open your mouth and say something. Now, I sent out 400 invitations today. I am so pleased to see you, but we still have to make people speak up for themselves in this community. So please do that. This is your time.
Thank you. I have two boys who have sickle cell anemia, one's 24 and one's 17. And we've had a rough ride. 20 odd years, and I'm still learning new things as to how to help them. Concerning your situation about going to the A&E, that was an issue that we did face with my eldest. And he was screaming in pain, and I went to the A&E, and we were told to sit down, and we were left there for an hour. When I eventually caused enough fuss, so the nurse came out and treated him, I decided this would never happen again. So I went back to his consultant, and I requested for a protocol, which he carries around with him wherever he goes. Because he's going on to university, the care that he may have in our town may not be in another town. But the protocol allows him to go straight in, and within 15 minutes, he has to be seen, because he has the paperwork to prove. And sometimes, as you say, the young doctors may not have the experience of sickle cell, but this guides them as to what treatment the young person needs to have, how many times. And we've had to add a few things, because sometimes you have to think outside the box, and sometimes the oral morphine causes constipation. So what we've had to add is that they need constipation relief while they have the morphine. Don't wait until you have the problem. Deal with the problem. So prevention is what we say. And for my younger son, and it's something that we've had to look at all around, in schools, they don't understand. In colleges, they don't understand. So we have a care plan set up at the very beginning. He takes that into school and college with him. So whenever he has a problem, he doesn't have to waste time trying to explain why, what is wrong, what needs to be done. He just produces the document. And that has helped him, it has helped me. It's taken the stress off me, because I can't be everywhere. But at least I know that wherever they may be, they have a document which will help the nurses and the doctors to help them to get treatment that they need. So I just wanted to share.
Oh, great. Where did you get it from?
Well, it's just, we sort of worked with the consultant to put down the basics as to what they needed. Then we tried it out and we found that there was a few loopholes, so we added to it and got them to amend it. And I carry one, my husband carries one, and my children carry one. So we all have a document. And it just stops the foolishness. And it just stops the questioning and stops the looks and everything else. Because, you know, as I say to my children, sickle cell is a silent illness. You can't see what's happening inside. If you broke your foot and you were bleeding, everybody would rush to your aid. But because it's internal, only the patient is the one that knows how much pain they're in.
Thank you, that's very practical.
Can I just say something? How do you think I felt in the 60s?
Hello everybody, I just want to say something. Just to add to what the last lady said. I have been in this country since early 70s, and I have 4 children. I'm 60 years old, and I'm 67. And just to add to what, initially, I think what is happening is not enough awareness. People are not aware that you can look all right, seeing you, but they don't really know what is wrong with you. So, first of all, about the card, I have a card I'm carrying about. Connie
gave me another card about 2-3 years ago. And by the way, I'm on dialysis as I am. I do home dialysis, because sickle cell, ausis, well, it's part of its complication is kidney problem, But I believe with a bit more awareness and we try to help each other, talking, not trying to put everything inside. Say things out. Let everybody know what is happening. Don't just leave everything to yourself alone. I think we'll get there one day. I think at the moment, Whips Cross is really trying. Royal London is really trying as well because I think they are now together. And carrying a card, as you have said, is a good something that everybody should try to take to. Carry a card to let them know everything about you, so that when anything happens, they know what to do. Because I would say some doctors are innocent, to be honest. They don't know what is really happening. With my GP in the surgery, they call me every time to come and speak to doctors, the junior doctors, for training.
Can I ask you a question? Do you have a care plan that therefore
not really a care plan, but now the sickle cell, the winner, and the hematologist work together. Okay. I attend both clinics together with them. That's at Royal London.
Right, okay.
And at Weeks Cross, I see them once in 6 months, once in 3 months, as I feel like.
Right.
Yes, Connie knows what I'm talking about, and I believe, I just know that with a bit more awareness, let people know what this thing is all about. It's not something that people feel, because I have sickle cell, I'm not part of the society. That's the problem, We have to think that what you can do, I can do. Sickle cell is not a problem. And you have to teach your children not to think about it.
So it's all about the awareness.
Yes, and not to think about it.
Yeah.
Because thinking about it is when you start having the problems that goes along.
Not letting it rule your life, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, that's great. Okay, thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Can I just ask a question again to Connie? Because there is some questions about care plans. I think that some people have plans of care. Can you tell us about that?
First, I should tell you a little bit about the adult services and the teenage services when they move into the community service at Wood Street. For all those adults who've got sickle cell, we should see you at least twice a year. So if you've not got an appointment, or one of your fellow colleagues haven't got an appointment, then ring us up and get an appointment. So you should see the clinical nurse specialist and or the gypsy at the very least twice a year. And then in between that, as often as you need to see them in respect of your individual cares and concerns. With myself and Master, they're Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. Now, what we are doing with each of our patients is drawing up a care plan for each of them, starting with the adults. We haven't done this with the children, except what we do try to put in place for every child in school is an individual care plan, which I go around to the schools and put that in place with the parents and the school teachers. But for the adults, we want you all to have your individualised care plan and your pain protocols. So if you haven't received those, next year, all of you by then should receive one.
Connie, what type of information would go into the care plan?
There are two things actually. There's the pain protocol and the care plan. The pain protocol is part of the care plan. And what the care plan is about, it's about cares and concerns that you as an individual have, whether it be related to your clinical condition, your social condition, your financial condition. And in there are the problems as you see them and the solutions that between your clinical nurse or your doctor and you as the individual feel that are the best solutions to your problem, and they're mapped out or statemented in your care plan. But attached to that should be your pain protocol. And this pain protocol is a reflection of, yes, the hospital pain protocol, but also inbuilt into that is your individual pain relief schedule that you found helpful to you when you come into A&E.
So they take into account sociological factors, all of your medication as well, and operations.
Yeah, I mean, when you come into hospital, obviously you're in pain or you're having a complication of your disorder. You're presenting as an emergency, and really what you want, if you're in pain, we say that you should get pain relief within 15 minutes. So as soon as you come into hospital, you shouldn't go through the full-blown clinical assessment, etc., before your pain is managed or brought under control. And you shouldn't have to be asked a whole load of questions about your presentation unless you're under pain control. That's the idea of the pain protocol. At which cost you should have pain management within 30 minutes, meaning that you should have had your pain control and your pain reduced so that about 30 minutes of your presentation, then the doctor can go into much more detailed history taking to find out what else is going on. The one thing to be aware of though, when you present into hospital in pain, yes, you have sickle cell, but remember you can suffer from any other pain emergency when you present. So the doctor has to always be in mind that is this sickle cell disease or is this, for example, a fulminating appendix? So they are torn between, do we want to give full-blown pain relief? Because if we do, we might be masking something underneath. So there is a bit of dilemma. But on the whole, you should have pain management. And I draw a distinction between management I draw a distinction between pain relief and pain control. Pain control means that you're on top of the pain and you're able now to have a dialogue with your doctor. Pain relief means that you're not feeling any pain at all. What we want for you in A&E is pain control so that you can still enter verbal dialogue with your doctor so that you can get the bottom of what you're presenting.
My name is Norman. I'm very fortunate, really. I've listened to Basil over here, and I had the SS since '71, and I didn't know that I actually had it until I went to America in '85, and I took sick over here. The morning I wake up to get home, I couldn't take up the bag, I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything. And even when I got to the airport, I couldn't carry my bag, I couldn't do anything. And then when I actually got on a plane from Florida to Heathrow, I was just burning up inside, just burning. Where I was sitting, it was so hot, like a furnace. I didn't know I was able to get back to London. When I actually get back to London, I went to my GP, and he sent me straight on to Barnes. When I got there, they do some tests. I was in hospital for 4 weeks and 3 days. I didn't eat anything, all I wanted was ice. Just ice. All the time, nothing to eat. And so what I'm saying is, from that time, is one time I had blood transfusion one time. And it's been good, you know, going to Whips Cross and being treated good. But there are times that when I go there, I'm in pain, and they only take my name and I'll go inside and I'll lay down on the bed and they'll give me the oxygen. And sometimes doctor wait around an hour before they come and see me. And I just lie there, just keep sweating. So I cut it short coming down. I never had blood transfusion after that. Why throw my ears until now? God has been good to me. Yeah, been good to me. I go work every single day. A few years back, I've been in the hospital for a few times. And that's it. But the thing is, I overcome this. I fight it all the time. I never let it get me down. I always fight it. Sometimes when you saw the paraffin heater, I used to go very close to it and just lay down on the floor, right in front of it. And the heat just penetrated into my body. From there to there, there were 20 minutes. From there to there. Sometimes it takes me 20 minutes if I'm in a crisis to get there. But I fought it and, you know, all that time through my life. And I don't have any problem now. I don't have any problem. I go and see Connie them when Harewood sent me, sometimes I don't even turn up, she knows that. You know, because I found out my health is, you know, really improved a lot. Really improved a lot.
What made a difference for you?
What happened is, some years back, there was Dr. Cole, wait, can I believe she was, yes.
Dr. Yang.
Dr. Yang? Something like that, yes. You remember her, right. It's a long time ago. And she gave me some tablets. First I had to go and purchase it. And from that time until now, I've been taking it, no again, on and off. I don't stick on it all the time, I just leave it. Sometimes months, I don't take anything with it. I don't kind of tell me how. You know, months I don't take anything. So I give thanks for that. You know, and I listen to what you've been through, and you know, I just wish for the best.
The secret was here in the medication that you were given.
Yes.
The medication
yes.
made a difference for you.
Yes.
Fantastic, that's good to know.
Thank you very much. But I always believe that you've got one life, as the gentleman said at the beginning. Enjoy it. Last year I flew to Atlanta on my own, and I've never been away on my own. I've always gone with a partner or family. And I went to Atlanta, and I got there, and I came back, and I survived not having many crises and just taking my painkillers. And I've got to tell you this story, and it's not a story, it's true. My previous employers, I worked for 23 years, and this year I've had a few crises, and the doctor said to me, "You're always talking about work, you're always talking about work. I know you've never been out of work, you're always talking about work, but I want you to take it easy." And I know I do a lot of charity work for Moorfields Eye Hospital after I had my bleed. And I was awarded 3 years ago at the House of Lords for the work I do. I just wanted to give something back to society. Anyway, this year, the doctor told me I've got to take a break because I've worked for 40 years, or just shy of 40 years. And I didn't know what to do. I thought, I'm going to give up work. So the people at the Sickle Cell Society were saying to me, "We need you to speak to people, you know, but you have to get trained up." So that killed a bit of time because I've always been a worker. So I undertook a course in mental health and obviously been in and out of hospital. But, you know, it's hard, but you've only got one life. And I do miss work. I was actually at Morgan Stanley on Wednesday for lunch, so I still keep contact. But people say to me, you can't retire. You've got sickle cell, you've got to work, you know. But how do you do it? How do you keep a smile on your face? You live on your own. You're not working now after 40 years, and you're in and out of hospital. And it is hard, but we've only got one life. Enjoy it.
I just wanted to, it's kind of related to a lot of what people have said, but because of him I had to say again, I had to ask the question again, because sickle cell is like fingerprints, it's very different from person. Here the treatment is general, what everyone has to, get, how you get treated, the protocol is this, it might be the same, and the care after that might be the same, but it is very different. And I'm one of those people that my pain was always there, and I had really, really bad pain. I have an elder sister also that's got sickle cell, but to show how different we are, she could have pain twice a year, and she'll be fine. She could climb mountains, and my parents were like, oh, that's fine. For me, I had like 3 times a month. And it was really bad, and it was like, no, you can go outside, you can do this. I wasn't allowed to do anything at all. And it was really bad. But for me, when I had my crisis, even though it's really bad, it would go like 8 hours later. It always goes the same day. Even with the painkiller, they would go. That's sometimes they go to the hospital and I'm like, oh, you have to stay. And I'm like, mine is different. I'm just lucky in that way. Now I would say I'm lucky, but in that way. It doesn't last 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, although I might be tired after that. But it will be the same day. It would go after 3 painkillers, I will be fine. But it's not the kind of pain you could treat at home. You can't give me codeine or something and it would never touch it. It has to be something extremely strong. And it comes on very frequently. I walk down the staircase, anything at all will bring it on. So I'm one of those that I can get a job because of that, because I'm always exhausted. My normal hemoglobin is 6. And most people do not respect that okay, yeah, one sickle might be able to do something. It doesn't mean the other sickle can. It's just very, very different. And some people do not respect that, oh, I know that sickle should be able to do this. You should be able to do that. I'm like, okay, I'm not that person. It's very different. I got 3 kids. Which I don't know how it happened, to be honest, because I was really, as my parents was always expecting me on my deathbed. I was always that close to dying. I've written exams with candidates in my arms, done all that, had a degree with severe pain, but you have to listen to the patient most of the time. No matter how many characteristics might be the same with the other person that came in, you have to listen to the patient. And whatever the patient says is that you have to do. You have to, even if you have a PhD in it, you still have to listen to that patient. And I didn't grow up in the UK, I grew up in Nigeria. I was born here, but grew up in Nigeria. And I had to sit my doctor down one day here, and I was like, I've never really met anyone like me in so much pain that has it so frequently like me. I mean, people that say, oh, their arm, their leg. Mine is always my chest and my back, and it's always so bad, and it's so frequent. I don't have that twice a year thing. I don't have a break, basically. I'm always in really bad pain. So it's just to parents out there and to medical practitioners, that please do listen to the child. Please try not to compare to other sicklers that, okay, please try not to do that because it is hard. When you are listening to someone else saying, no, I was able to do that, you shouldn't be able to do that. Just do what you can in yourself. My kids are my joy now, I guess, because that's what I live for now, and I just hope I live as long as possible with them and for them. But do the best that you can for your child and for yourself. That's the best thing.
So, we just take one last question from this lady who's been waiting for the microphone for a while. And then, like I said, I just want to open it up. We've only got sort of half an hour or so left now, so it would be good for you to just kind of maybe meet up with the panel. Andrea quite kindly, Dr. Leigh said that she wants to meet some of the kids as well, so perhaps some of the children, we kind of kept the panel to ourselves, so maybe some of the children out there would like to have a few questions to ask that they wouldn't necessarily have the confidence to ask in front of this crowd. So she's going to go next door and meet with some of them, and the rest of the panel, I'm going to invite you to perhaps go to the information table where people can pick up their pamphlets and perhaps ask some more questions. So I'll just hand the mic over. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jean here. This is for a young gentleman who was kicked out in a stretch hospital. You don't have to be in a stretch hospital to be kicked out. I have been kicked out in a Whitcourt more than 3 times. And at one point I had an HP for 4.6, I was still kicked out. So now Connie is saying that things are going to change. How are they going to change?
I'm sorry to hear that, Jean, that you've been kicked out with the hemoglobin of 4. I don't know why that happened, but the question you're asking is how are things going to change at Wilkes Cross? I think we've had 2 big changes recently that I do have to mention. We've had, 3 big changes. Wilkes Cross is now part of Bart's Health, and from a sickle point of view, I think that's been a big benefit. I think that Bart's Health have a very good reputation in working with the sickle cell community, headed by Dr. Paul Telfer, who I've known professionally for many years. And he's now, he acts as the regional lead actually for sickle cell. So I feel it's a big bonus for Wilkes Cross that they're now part of that. The second big thing that we've had is that we've had a new consultant called Dr. Basil. And I don't know if you remember Dr. Yegan, but we really did need somebody like Dr. Yegan, like Paul Telfer, who has a professional passion about this condition. And he's actually been an excellent support to me, and he's actually, really come into the community, worked with our commissioners, training our GP in working with the sickle cell community to help patients avoid going to hospital. Well, let's face it, you don't like it, okay? So we don't want you in there, you don't want to be in there, but we wanted a consultant that will come to the community and work with you from the community. And now we have that, as well as a GP with special interest. And the commissioners have looked at our model and they are quite excited about it. They are showing interest in investing more finances into it, so that we actually have 2 GPs with special interest and we can increase our team. And as you can see, our third biggest change is that we have a new paediatric consultant, which for those of you who remember Dr. Whitmarsh, we miss him dearly. But with Andrea Leigh coming, she has made that transition so smooth, and we just welcome her. So we now feel that we have a great team, we've got great leadership, and this is one reason why we want you guys to put your suggestions in the box. This is your time. Tell us the good things, but don't spare our feelings. Tell us the bad. Tell us what you want changed. Tell us you got kicked out of the hospital with hemoglobin of 4, why that happened. We want to move on, okay? This is your time.
Tell us how to fix it.
Okay, right.
I'm sorry to hear that lady said she was kicked out. I was under the London hospital from the age of 16, but when they opened the Newham hospital near me about 28 years ago, I went to that hospital, but I kept my records at the London also and see Dr. Telfer. And I can remember about 10 years ago going for a clinic, and it was very, very busy in that hospital. A lot of sicklers in, the weather was cold, and you was unlucky, I'm really sorry, but I remember having a crisis that night, and previously that day, obviously, being at Newham, it was packed, full out, no beds, and the ambulance came, and I said, you might have a problem taking me to Newham, which is obviously my nearest hospital. They said, how do you know that? I said, I was there today. But I said, I've still got my notes at the London hospital, so they radioed in and took me to London. So I had a bed, so I could have been like you, but I wasn't. I'm sorry to hear you was kicked out.
Thank you very much for joining us here. We've got Andrea, Dr. Andrea Leigh, and Connie, Sonia, who's going to also talk to you about, if you'd like to know about the link between all those lovely juices that are hanging around, the people have been sipping throughout, and she can basically tell you how to make them on the cheap. You don't need to want to buy one of those Jamie Oliver things that take up your cabinet space. It will be done very cheaply. And Basil as well. So thank you very, very much for doing this. Some of you I know have filled out the coding questionnaires because there is a law around coding use which is being applied to under 12-year-olds. So we really would love you, if this affects any of you, to fill out the questionnaires on the other side of the room. Help yourself, tin juices, tin food, and all the information that we have over there. Thank you very much.
This is the raffle. Woo! Can I get you to... We need 20 minutes of this. That's number 26 for the second, number 2 in terms of the raffle prizes. Number 26 for... Number 3 for the third raffle prize. Anyone? Thank you very much. And number 9 for the first one. Brilliant, thank you. You guys are the winners. Come with me, come collect your prizes. And please, like I say, please just mingle. There are stalls around you to have a look at. And I'm going to grab these panel members now and bring them along so that you guys can talk.
Okay, I'm gonna make a difference. Your action might save life. Be a part of the positive change, right? There's a way that you can keep in touch, right? Have you got a pen? If you got one of these leaflets, you need to know how to follow, right? You need to double that World Sickle Cell Awareness .org, right? That is very important. And also Facebook, facebook.com Sickle Cell Community, right? And then Twitter, Sickle Cell Community, right? And also I'm going to invite back on the radio station, right? My name is Uncle Sid, award winner, family program. You can catch me tomorrow morning and Auto Radio station, and the FM is 105.2 FM. I'm there from 7 a.m. until 10 a.m. If you want to find out more about Uncle Sid, just Google Uncle Sid 1. And thank you very much for the panel and all the wonderful true story. And it's so important. And also, the data bank is at King's College Hospital. That is my input, right? And it's so important. Today, you go away with the education, and please pass it on to another friend, and thank Claudette very much, please, and the panel, right? Claudette, make it possible, right? And want to rock good and do all the best you can. You catch me on the radio tomorrow morning, and it was a pleasure to be here, right? And remember, I'm going to give the mic over. Any last word, please?
Two things. We've got a petition that I've been doing since September the 10th, West of House of Commons, and we met with Leigh. We're trying to get everybody that's got sickle cell and thalassemia to have their petition free of charge. Back in 2008, they were told that all people with lifelong illnesses should have free prescriptions. Sickle cell was never mentioned, so that's what the petition is about. We all kind of think that it's a disease, and they are looking for other people to do things. There's enough black people, Asian people in this country to be able to make things happen and not wait for everybody else to do things for them. I started this on the 10th of September and only have about 500 signatures, and that's really disgusting. So I think it's probably glad to find that's here. The second thing is we've got a masquerade ball in aid of sickle cell and thalassemia on the 20th of December. It's up in Luton. I know it's quite a distance. That's where we come from today. And it's all in aid of sickle cell awareness. And that's what I do on Facebook. I've got my Facebook page, all the information here, so if you want to join the page and see what I've been doing. I personally don't have sickle cell, but my parents both have the trait, so I consider myself one of the lucky children. But I am the kind of person that's able to go and jump out of planes, do all the walks, all the events that some people are not able to do, and that's what I do, and that's what I do on Facebook. So if you want to join the page and see what I've been doing since I started the awareness, you're all welcome to take the information right here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming down. Thank you.
You want to tell us just a wee bit about the Prada? In terms of introducing it to us. Yeah, just introduce it to us.
Yeah, it's a product that consists of 27 fruits, vegetables and berries, and basically they retain the phytonutrients in them, and they're blended and they are made into little, well, it's not open right now, they're blended and put into capsules, so they pretty much are for people who are into juicing, who like juicing, so it's a convenient way to get the benefits of juicing without all the hassle of getting the right fruits, and so it's just there, and yeah, it's got all the vitamins and all the nutrients and everything that you would get if you were to juice naturally. But as I said, we have 27 different fruits and berries all blended together, so it's called Juice Plus. And if you'd like to learn more about it, visit our website, juiceplus.com, and it gives you a breakdown on all the different variations of products that we have. That's pretty much it.
Hi, I'm Sister Jen. I am the Assistant Marketing Manager for Pepperkite Book Distribution Services. We have a wide range of books, children's books, cookery books, all types of history, psychology, sociology, arts, as you can see here, one of the African ceremonies. There's so many titles, I can't reel it off, but you're more than welcome to purchase some books whenever you see us. Pepperkite Book Distribution Services.
Hi, my name is Denise and I'm a consultant with Hillyfield. Hillyfield offer a range of organic, paraben and essence-free products that are also aromatherapy based. So we use 100% pure essential oils in the majority of our products. Our products can be used from young and old. We've got skincare, we've got body care, and we've got nutrition products as well. So if you're interested in finding out more, you can visit my website, which is www.ellepure.com/facts. Thank you.
you.